Starting. Hey everyone! So we're trying this another time with regular podcast. Just recording this. So this time I have broken-hearted liberal. Say hello. And I have Archon again with me. Say hello. No bye. So we thought about touching a few topics, and again this week we have more allegations coming out. I thought about talking to in two or three specifically are Louis C.K., George Takei, and also Ellen Page now coming out against Brett Ratner. So what do you guys think about the allegations so far?
The allegations against Louis C.K. specifically. I know that the claims are that he's a sexual harasser, but I don't know the specific events surrounding it. But I know the one around George Takei is basically that a male actor was over. I think it was either at Takei's place at a party or they were somewhere else or something. And basically he woke up either from being drugged or just passing out from being too drunk with Takei fondling his dick and balls while his pants were down, and he was trying to get away and said, "I don't want to do this," and made it pretty clear that he didn't consent to it. But Takei wasn't forcing him to stay, but he was doing the whole "you're not fit to drive, you're under the influence, blah blah blah" shit to convince him to stay type of shit. And he was just "No, fuck it, I don't care," and he ran to his car and then waited until he was able to, or he felt safe to drive, and then he fucking left. And not only that, but there's one aspect to the George Takei thing that also adds a little bit more credibility to this, because there are a number of people that are friends with the person that came out that verified that he had confided in them this information a number of years prior to this. So it's very unlikely that he is just bringing this out to jump on the bandwagon.
Ouch.
Yeah. Just 1 second. Prof Neko joined, so he's gonna also probably be part of the discussion. But go ahead, Broken Hearted.
I mean, the other thing is also, again, this is showing hypocrisy because George Takei has some tweets out essentially condemning Donald Trump for, sexual harassment and grabbing without consent, stuff like that, and here he is.
Yep, hypocrite.
Yeah, I've been going on a tirade on Twitter today regarding George Takei's hypocrisy, and just showing tweets he sent out, and he's all about the virtual signaling bit, but now it's suddenly when it's turned around on him, then it's suddenly a whole other story. Prof Navigo, we're talking about all the sexual harassments, Louis C.K., George Takei, and also Brett Ratner being accused. What are your thoughts around all of this?
Personally, I'm a little worried about fake ones being in there, because I'm fairly positive that some of them are going to be fake and used as an ideological weapon to attack people, basically take advantage of the high to accuse people of sexual harassment without realizing the consequences if they get caught.
Yeah, I think I was saying it before. I don't remember if I said it at the beginning of the stream or before the stream, but yeah, the Louis C.K. Allegations are kind of being brought into question because there are a couple people that are claiming that Louis always asked for consent, and when he didn't get consent, he didn't continue it. So the claims of sexual harassment are false. But as I said, I haven't looked into it too hard. So,
well, the reason that I say that I'm really hoping that there aren't fakes is not because I'm upset at people capitalizing off the situation, which I expected that to happen, but what I'm thinking is that if just one sexual harassment claim gets left and proven to be fake, Weinstein and all the others are going to use that one fake to try and slip the law.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, a massive pile of sexual harassers and rapists and beyond will get away with it, all because this one jackass decided, hey, I want to take advantage of the situation.
Well, to be fair, it doesn't mean that they're going to get away from it. It's just that it's going to bring a very heavy amount of doubt on the allegations brought against them. No matter how many accusations that are brought against them are true, it's going to bring all of those true accusations under question as well, because of the fact that there are people that are lying about it now.
I know, that's what I'm saying, is that they're going to try to use the situation to save their own asses. That's
right.
what I'm getting at.
It just sounded like you were saying that they absolutely would get off, and it's like, well, not necessarily.
Well, yeah, not necessarily. They'll probably throw one or two under the bus, but I'd think Weinstein would probably get away with it simply because he has the money to force the judges, and since he'd have some form of leeway in doubt, he could throw it in his favor.
He probably has what's-his-face from the OJ trial as well.
I mean, for a while he had a feminist lawyer, actually, until she got essentially bullied from defending him. And the other thing that was disturbing was, his therapy lasted like a week. And I remember reading that basically it was him making phone calls, and it was like an apartment or something like that, or whatever. He wasn't actually in therapy. He was just hiding out.
Yeah, therapy with very heavy air quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in luxury therapy.
Yeah, it's like you're under house arrest, Martha Stewart. Not really a big deal.
Yeah, house arrest near a palatial mansion with people serving on you.
You can ever possibly want. Hooray! You won't have to worry about paparazzi because you're under house arrest. Hooray!
Yeah.
I mean, the thing I have regarding this is, we said this on the last edition Archon of this thing, where we said, they have to actually prove that they were sexually harassed or assaulted or whatever they are claiming regarding Brett Ratner and Judge Takei. But what I find ironic is when it's the people who are constantly virtue signaling, like Judge Takei, who is a perfect example, who has gone out so many times against Trump or anyone else who is right-wing or anything like that, who has different views than him. And now when it has backfired 1,000%, when he is the one who's been accused of sexual harassment.
Yep.
And
definitely it's sort of the 1990s and 2000s, the anti-gay politician or preacher turning out to be, in the bathroom nudging somebody's foot kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy.
It's Sargon's Law, as we all know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think this Me Too campaign is just gonna continue, but until I actually see some proof of any of this, I can't really say that. As I said last time, we don't know if any of these are true. I can use one example of this was at IGN. This was a female editor at IGN who felt harassed by Vince Ingenito and actually reported it to HR. So there's actually proof of him doing this, and she just quit because of it. So, and it's most likely why he got fired as well by IGN. So
yeah, I mean, one thing that I don't like about this stuff is that people are getting fired almost instantly after the accusations fly out.
Yep.
Like with the Kevin Spacey thing, he was, at first they said suspended, then he was fired immediately.
Yep.
I really think that when a person is accused of this stuff, they should be suspended, yes, until they can confirm or deny. Because if you fire people instantly, it will get weaponized. And that's something that, as you've gathered, I do not like when people try to use the law as a weapon rather than as a tool to protect people.
All right.
I mean, the thing is, in regards to some of this, it's they're giving very weak and tepid responses. And the thing is, like, if you weren't guilty, like, this is more in the court of public opinion, but if you weren't guilty, like, most people, I think, would, firmly deny this stuff. And so, like, giving this sort of weak, wishy-washy sort of answers, it just doesn't help you at all. I should also mention on Reddit, apparently there was a guy who said he saw Kevin Spacey in a Thailand motel. This was a year prior to all this. He did an AMA. I haven't gone through it just yet, but there seems to be some. It at least gives to me some credence that it was like a year previously. I mean, granted, it's still allegations and it's unverified.
Right.
Yeah. So, is there anything we want to touch on this particular topic, or do we want to move on?
No, I've made my piece.
Yeah, I think we can probably move on.
All right. Well, we talked about this last time. Was NeoGAF burned down in a big pile of garbage, something that's on fire and smells like shit. And Reset Era is basically the new place of for these people. I posted the article, so you can also pull it up. But I'm gonna read some part of it, I'm gonna read it. It's not a really long article.
So something flaming and smells like shit. You mean George Takei's excuse?
What was it? Wait, hold on. What was his excuse?
It's pretty much just the wishy-washy response.
Yeah.
Oh, so he was just kind of like, I don't know what you're talking about. No.
Yeah, basically.
Well, I guess it's not as bad as being like I'm gay or I'm drunk, blah blah blah.
I now live my life as a gay man.
Oh, yeah. It's so memeable.
Yeah, I guess Jean Grey found him.
Oh boy.
Here, I'm gonna read the article. The remnants of NeoGAF's moderation staff left after allegations of sexual misconduct surfaced against NeoGAF's owner, Tyler Malka. Malka dismissed the allegations, claiming them to be baseless and ridiculous. But the staff listened to and believed the victim over Malka, thus resulting in an exodus of NeoGAF's administrators and moderators. They formed a new gaming forum called Reset Era because it's supposed to represent a reset of the era for gaming forums. However, the one thing they did not do is reset their socio-political views on certain hot-button individuals and topics. Kotaku in Action noted that Reset Era recently had a thread from a user advocating for the discussion of content made by content creator Colin Moriarty. User Insanexer wrote, really have missed Colin's input this last year in the gaming industry. Ever since his departure from Kind of Funny, I hoped he would return to writing about games. In his post, he seems reflective of the past, as has received a ton of feedback to continue being a thoughtful, different perspective in the gaming community. Since Reset Era is a new start for everyone, I would like to welcome Colin back. Looking forward to his content. Hope he can do another show like PS I Love You. Community manager Sweet Nicole made a post 10 pages into the thread stating that all content or discussion relating to Colin Moriarty is permanently banned from Reset Era. Dun dun dun. It is the position of the staff that we are not interested in providing a platform for Colin Moriarty. Please do not create thread about his content. And with that, the thread was locked. It didn't end there, though. Longtime game industry veteran Dennis Dyke from Silicon Knights, I don't know if it's It's yeah. Anyway, the makers of Too Human and Eternal Darkness also attempted to sign up, but was stopped at the gates by moderators who attempted to Voidkampf test Dyke's affiliation and association with Gamergate. Noted that those supporting Gamergate are being banned on Reset Era, such as McReady13, who openly stated that his support for Gamergate in a thread, who was promptly temp banned for espousing Gamergate rhetoric. Here, surprised we are letting Gamergate on this site. To be honest, I'm no misogynist. I'm not, this is the post I'm talking about. I'm a Gamergater. For me, it was all about ethics and journalism. Why should I not be allowed here? I never did anything wrong. I don't agree with any of the harassment, but I don't like any of the lies and deception on either side. So judge me as you will. I'm surprised we can segregate so simply here. Thought things were gonna be different from NeoGAF. Maybe they aren't. So he got basically banned.
Silicon Knights is a video game developing company. Just I looked it up.
Yeah. Dennis Dyke is a creative director on games, I think. Dennis Dyke was put under a microscope where various members pressured him into renouncing Gamergate or openly stating whether or not he supports the movement. In one case, Dyke would be forced into distance himself from any discussion about ethics in journalism or corruption within the gaming industry. Whether on a Reset Era or his public accounts, or whether information could be gleaned by other Reset Era members. And on the other side, he would be banned if he openly stated that he supports Gamergate. Since the mod team are purging Gamergate supporters from the forum, Dyke attempted to circumvent the direct line of questioning, resulting in oscillating stalemate of accusations and defections. The administrator, Methuselah, or whatever, was having none of it, though promptly closed the thread until they could get a straight answer about Dyke's allegiances to Gamergate. Jesus Christ. Given that this discussion is likely to continue in circles until Dennis Dyke actually responds, we are locking this thread for now, but will insist that he address it if he wishes to continue to use the site as a platform. Yeah, that's basically it. They're basically thought crimes is what they are doing on the Reset Era forum. I'm just gonna grab something to drink real quick. Continue the discussion in the meantime.
Yeah. The great thing about that is that this literally just proves the fucking point that Gamergate and just not even Gamergate itself, just the people in general have been saying for a long time. When you get to the point where you have to distance yourself from wanting ethics in journalism, just the concept itself. I want journalists to act correctly. I want them to be decent human beings in the profession that they are doing.
It's okay to be white.
When you get asked the question, when you get given an ultimatum, do you want journalists to act ethically and do their job properly, or do you not want them to do that? And when people are pressuring you to answer to the negative, like you don't want them to do that, that's a fucking problem. And it just goes to show that there is a problem in journalism.
Yeah, especially compounded with the fact that, if I recall, Dyke was the victim of shitty journalism, since Kotaku pretty much raked him through the mud to keep him from ever getting any more money.
Yeah, his name sounds familiar, but I don't recall what happened.
Dyke was the head of Silicon Knights.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Silicon Knights did Eternal Darkness, which was an amazing game, but they also did Too Human, I think?
Yeah, Too Human.
Which was an incredibly mishandled and shitty game. And they decided to lay all the blame on Dennis Dyke, say he was stealing money. They didn't have proof of this, but Kotaku decided, well, we don't like Dyke, so throw him through the ringer. And he's been trying to restore his good name. He tried to do a spiritual sequel to Eternal Darkness, then Kotaku stepped in and was like, no, look at this guy, he stole a ton of money, la 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 la. You should support our developers, not him.
Right.
and he was saying that this wasn't true, but no one would touch him because, well,
Listen and believe only works when it's the people in your crowd.
yeah. Well, the thing was, this was before Kotaku actually got revealed as being the corrupt little rats they are.
Right.
So people, since Kotaku was the center for games journalism before Gamergate happened and pretty much raked them over the coals, they convinced everyone that Dennis Dyack was a horrible person without any evidence.
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
NeoGAF was largely responsible for that.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is also what's concerning about this sort of reforming about NeoGAF. So I didn't know about NeoGAF until like this scandal essentially broke. But from what I know is they essentially had a captive audience because they had industry leaders going to this site and like, you know, giving information and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it kind of started off as being like the forum for gaming, where the industry leaders, developers, and there were also news. That's where they basically broke. So all the journalists as well were on that forum looking for news and talking to people. So ideally, it was actually a great place to be. But then it just started to spiral down, where identity politics were more important than games. So they actually banned discussing some certain games because they were racist or whatever, and they also went around tone policing everyone, so you couldn't talk about games journalism and ethics. That was banned, and all during Gamergate they just defamed Gamergate for several years until this happened. So all the while the owner during this whole period just decried and denounced Gamergate all these years, but when it was turned around on him, when he was actually found to be actually accused by someone of sexually harassing someone, it was whole different rules. So that's why they kind of all abandoned ship and made this new site. And we talked about this last time when me and Archon talked about this, and I just found it very ironic when this guy has virtue signaled that he's a feminist and listen and believe, and when it's turned around on him, basically different rules for everyone else, but not for him. So.
Well,
Yeah.
he expected that by following their doctrine that he would get a pass if he was ever caught, and well, they don't do that.
See, that's the thing. I'm going to use a metaphor. I don't remember where it's from. It's probably from some show or something. But basically, in a game of tennis, he wants the net to not be there when he serves the ball, but he wants the net to be up when the ball is returned.
Exactly.
No, he wants the net to be a wall when it returns.
But in the metaphor of tennis, though, it's a net. So
Yeah.
basically, he wants the undivided protection of his fans, but he's also wanting people to like believe he's some kind of fucking protector and that women are better. And it's just like, it's pretty clear you're a goddamn liar.
In regards to this reforming of sort of NeoGAF, I think it sounds like something needs to be done essentially in order to convince games developers not to collect around this and essentially create another thing, another sort of captive audience, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean,
we've suggested this for a long time, because the NeoGAF also started to leak stuff, which cost developers loads and loads of money because they basically destroyed their whole PR campaign by leaking gameplay and announcements before the publishers were ready. So I think people like the biggest leaker. He goes under Shinobi and some numbers 18 something. I can't remember it off my top of my head, but he was the biggest one who gave them scoops, and he just said, I'm not gonna bother with this anymore until they straighten out their own backyard. I'm not gonna return. So people have actually just left NeoGAF because they're not interested in talking to these people.
It's kind of why they got the nickname of Neofag.
Yeah, that is true. So any more thoughts on this?
No. You can take the Neo out of the fag, but you can't take the fag out of the Neo.
Pretty much, yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna post the next topic. I actually wanted to talk about this last time, but since we got a few people here now, I wanted to talk about this actual article and the whole mentality of the games journalists. Since we're on the topic of video games, here, video game culture needs to stop fetishizing a skill. It's not a long article. Just let me go through it quickly and then share your thoughts about it. Games criticism moves in cycles. This is new. It's sort of a natural occurrence since the medium is still relatively young. So when notable events occur that the entire sphere is concerned with, we end up having the same debates. It's frustrating as a critic to have to rehash the same argument about once a year, but in a way it helps to keep your thoughts fresh. With that in mind, it looks like we're talking about skill level again. To be more specific, the conversation about the role that skill has in critically and analyzing and reviewing games has started up again. In a recent video by VentureBeat, journalist Dean Takahashi struggled to finish the first level of upcoming title Cuphead. While this incident is new, the debate about the position of skill and challenge in games is far from recent. It was arguably the center of a conversation surrounding Dark Souls. It still is a debate whenever someone mentions older video games, especially those from the 8-bit or 16-bit eras, that in comparison to be more modern titles, it can be tough as nails. Games have a long and sordid story of a difficult and the balance of challenge to satisfaction. When a reviewer has trouble playing a game, the instant reaction by many crowds boils down, if you can't play this game, why are you in games criticism? The implication isn't hard to find. There isn't an assumption that in order to be good a games critic, you have to be good at games. It's a bad assumption, to put simply. Video game culture there's a arrow here. Right, largely fetishizes skill. An individual's skill at a particular game determines the validity of the argument posed by the individual in most common spheres of discussion, but it's not really a good barometer for critical meaning by any measure. Games, especially in the modern era, with the aid of Let's Play, streaming, and various other methods of content absorption without mechanical interaction, are no longer simple puzzle boxes to unlock knowledge by solving. Games are stories, conversations between player and world, and conversations between designers and viewers. The act of play itself is but one method of experience, what we call video game. In modern critical discussions, this has adverse other effects, as well as skill fetishizing not only adds validity to those critiquing a game, but those who are making games. An entire other recurring conversation in games criticism revolves around what is a game, and most of that is poisoned by skill fetishization as well. At some point, as a culture, games need to leave the skill assumption behind. There is nothing inherently good about a game that's hard, as there is nothing inherently good about a game that's easy, or for that matter, anything inherently praiseworthy or dismissible about critics who have preferred style of game, even if that style is a game that's not hard at. After all, there are just games. So that's basically the article. I don't know how familiar you are with this broken-hearted liberal.
Sorry, what was that? You broke up a little.
Well, I'm not sure how familiar you are with this story. Have you heard about the Dean Takahashi incident?
Oh yeah, no, I watched the video. It was cringeworthy, and the best one was where they put a pigeon in a box trying to get a little thing, and the pigeon beat him.
Yeah.
Just I mean, the thing is also like in regards to like just having the minimum base amount of skill. Because I mean, like if he can't get past the tutorial, like can you finish the game at all? Like you're not getting the full game experience if you can't finish the fucking tutorial.
Yeah,
like
Well, see, I'd actually like to.
When it comes to games journalism and reviewing video games, we're not demanding that game journalists and reviewers be professionals, but at the very least, we are making the argument that if you're going to be a food critic, you're going to have to at least be able to swallow and chew food.
Right. Yeah. One of the things I wanted to jump in about is because the article is like partially correct in that you don't have to be, some savant at Street Fighter to review and critique the game.
The thing, though, is that that's a point that's being made, which is
right,
not addressed in our actual concerns.
I know. That's why I'm saying they're kind of half right, but they're wrong in the fact that that's not what a lot of people are saying. Because you don't have to be number one in the world to play and critique a game. But the thing is that if what people are expecting is they're expecting you to have some amount of experience playing games, and with that experience comes at least some small amount of skill. You also need to be able to pick up concepts within each game fairly quickly and fairly easily. So when you pick up a new game, you need to be able to learn the controllers, how the buttons are mapped and all that shit before you can actually play the game. If you can't learn that, you're going to have either a very difficult time or it's going to be almost impossible. And so if you can't pick up that button mapping, or you're having that much difficulty playing the game because you just can't get the controls down, it makes people wonder, has this guy even been playing games? Does he even have this experience? And if he doesn't, what authority does he have to be critiquing any games that I might be interested in? Like, why should I listen to you? You don't even have the experience to get this far. Fuck off. That's basically the mentality behind it.
Yeah, Prof, do you have anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, just a sec. Sorry, I'm eating. But what I was saying is, Takahashi's an idiot, naturally. He has... These game journalists don't want skill to be a factor because they can't play.
I mean,
pretty much.
I mean, if you take, I think the food thing is also valid, but I think it would be something like a person who has bad eyesight and goes to and is a critic of movies and goes to the cinema and watches a movie without his glasses on, and then critiques the movie from that. That would also be...
Yeah, it says the picture was grainy and out of focus. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I've always said that journalists, whether it's gaming or whatever, should be for the people, whether it's consumerism or just giving you news and facts. And if you're as bad as Dean Takahashi at games, or even what's his name, the guy from Polygon who couldn't finish or had problems with Doom.
Was that Arthur Geis or?
That was it, Arthur Geis. Is when they actually do a review, actually be transparent and say what difficulty you did the game on, so people can understand. So even if you're shit at game and say, "Oh, I played on easy," okay, people know this now and can judge can judge the game.
Like if there's a game with 5 difficulty levels, you play on the piss easiest difficulty. You're like, "Well, this game was too easy."
Yeah, exactly. So
we'll be like, well, what about the 4 difficulties above it? It's like, well, I couldn't beat it on normal, but easy mode was really easy, so...
Yeah.
The game is just too fucking easy, guys.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's it. You should be as transparent and as accurate as you can be. Like reviews are always gonna have some sort of bias and subjective opinion inserted into a review, whether it's movies, food, or whatever, or even games. But at least be transparent when giving the review.
I mean, one other thing in regards to it almost seems like at least journalists these days sort of just have this drive to sort of just crap on their audience. And I mean, like for instance, I believe Tech Raptor is starting to go more, away from Gamergate, which Gamergate apparently, gave it its sort of prominence, and as soon as it got threatened by like Zoe Quinn and somebody else, they started pulling articles.
Yeah, Tech Raptor pretty much threw Gigi under the bus now that...
Well, the context, and just to give it to everyone who doesn't know, I'm brokenhearted. It was basically a curators list on Steam, with which Tech Raptor got promoted on Steam, and they could make their own like library of creation of games, and they got attacked by these SJWs like Zoe Quinn. And Tech Raptor responded with deleting old Gamergate. I think it was 5. I might be mistaken. I think it was 5 articles regarding Gamergate, and basically throwing Gamergate under the bus. And Tech Raptor, along with Niche Gamer, Loot Gamer, and some other sites, were Gamergate approved. Basically, we trust these sources and we promote them. And now Tech Raptor basically stabbed all of the people who supported Tech Raptor from the get go, and stabbed them right in the back.
Yeah, it's pretty much Gamergate gave them the money to start up, and they bit the hand that feeds them, and well, in all honesty, that's going to make a lot of GG supporters just kind of dump Tech Raptor, and they'll find themselves going bankrupt very quickly because they were dumb enough to completely bite the hand that was feeding them.
See, this is the problem, and I think I said this in chat when this issue was brought up, is that this is one of the main reasons why I never supported the whole, I guess I wouldn't say the movement, but like the push from people in Gamergate to support things that agreed with Gamergate or even just gave it a fair shake. Yeah. You shouldn't support something just because it agrees with you, because people's beliefs and their whims are fucking fickle. That shit can change with however much money they're receiving from a group, time, whatever. It's gonna change regardless. No one's gonna stay the same on a certain subject for very long. And so the fact that a lot of people were like, yeah, you need to support them because they gave Gamergate a fair shake. They weren't, spewing lies about them. Okay, good. I'm not going to hate them, but that doesn't mean I have to give them my money. You should give people your money if they actually do content you like, because then that'll also show them that they can make money in doing that content. The problem is that when it comes down to ideals, that shit can be bought. Hence why Zoe Quinn has that much power, because she got all that fucking money from Lifshits.
Well, she didn't even need the money from Lifshits anyways, because from what I understand, her family is old money too.
Jesus.
I mean, her name before she changed to Zoe Quinn, at least that's what was speculated.
Valkenburg.
Yeah, the von Valkenburgs have a lot of money. They're old money. So she has money to throw around. She just doesn't want to spend it when she can manipulate idiots into paying money for her.
Don't forget, too, that she has goon connections. She, along with a few other journalists and SJWs, are something awful users. And during the Web 1.0 days, these SA goons have been increasing in influence overall. You won't be finding people acknowledging them as goons nowadays, unless, you're in the know. But they are goons. They do have some reach in politics and finance and other things. And that connection is what enables them to do a few of the things that they do.
I mean, there's certainly something to say about sort of like power and its the corruption that comes with it. Because if you think about sort of like Huffington Post was co-founded by Breitbart, Vice was co-founded by Gavin McInnes, and TYT essentially used to be good, and then it obviously degenerated. And it just seems like, just kowtowing to power as you go up. It eats at you, I guess.
Well,
I don't know.
I
There's
mean,
just something about it.
When you start out small, it's like you get enough attention and you rely on the public for your funding, so you tend to support the public. But then as you get bigger and bigger, these big entities come up and then they start shoving money in your face to side with them, and you either you take the money and side with them, or you don't take the money and the people who did take the money will smear you to hell.
Not only that, but it also helps the fact that a lot of the groups that have this money and are offering it to those businesses probably pull a card similar to, you can either accept this money or I bury you with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, TYT was always a somewhat liberal-leaning thing, so when a heavy liberal group started giving them money, they're easier to manipulate. Like, you couldn't have George Soros go up to Fox News and start giving them money to start speaking liberal, because Fox News is so entrenched in the right wing that no amount of money will make them suddenly change sides.
I mean, they also have their own right-wing, backers, no doubt, too.
But people like Chunk Hunger will always just side with whoever's paying them.
Chuck Hunger?
Yeah.
He needs a sandwich.
the brown buffalo. Yeah.
I mean, like, with a name like Young Turks, you'd expect someone like Anna Kasparian, who is Armenian, to not touch the thing with a damn 10-foot pole, but she gets paid well, so she'll even try to deny the Armenian genocide that the Turks committed against them.
Yeah, which is hilarious. I want to move on to the next topic, which I just actually found, and I haven't watched the latest episode of Flash, the TV series. But I found this forum post. I heard it was basically a whole a feminist episode for feminism in those terms, and I just wanted to read some of the comments of the in the forum. This is actually for the official Reddit for the Flash. I archived the thread just in case it gets taken down for some reason. But I thought this was very interesting. So here goes. So I want to preface this with saying that I'm a feminist to the utmost extent of which I'm capable. I'm also a man, so I get that I'm not in the position to say what is and what isn't empowering. That being said, is it wrong for me to think that's actually counterintuitive for the show to keep describing everything the girls do as #feminist? Like, I understand the message, but it feels kind of sexist to act like everything the girls do is some kind of extraordinary feat. They act like deciding to fight the bad guy is some kind of revolutionary, empowering idea, where it feels like not calling attention to it and just doing it would be more powerful. As in, calling attention to the fact that the girls are doing something again and again is like saying, wow, a woman shooting a gun, wow, a woman fighting a bad guy, wow, a woman doing this. It just feels like it was pretty clearly stating that it was unusual for the woman to be doing stuff like this, which is very much the opposite of what the show was going for. Like, there shouldn't be anything so extraordinary about the girls working together. It should just be something that they mention casually. Going overboard like this, it kind of implies that the idea of a woman doing any of this is so out of the blue and crazy. maybe I'm misreading it. Any ideas? I want to read two of the top comments. I think with anything, it's a lot more important to show someone doing something rather than telling people he did. If you want women superheroes to feel naturally, then handle them as if they've all just always been there. Don't point it out, just make it feel like they fit. Pretty sure that's how Star Trek did it with Rusky and a black chick. And here, this is actually a woman who commented, I'm a woman and I feel the same way. Super annoying to mention it in every scene. Literally rolled my eyes at hashtag feminism.
Yeah, you want to hear some interesting news about The Flash?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the showrunner for The Flash, Andrew Kreisberg, he's been Weinsteined.
Oh shit!
Jesus.
Yep, so you see a massive episode about how feminist and empowered they are, and then suddenly, boom, Weinstein.
So, one thing I wanted to say too is that this actually reminded me of something I heard a long time ago. Well, I guess not too long ago, but mainly back when the whole gay pride thing was a major thing, like, you know, back in like the early 2000s and stuff, or not early 2000s, but like the mid 2000s area. And I just remember like seeing an interview with, I don't think he was a celebrity or anything, but he was a fairly well-known person in a community, and he happened to be gay. And I can't remember what they asked him, but they asked him some question about something about being gay and the movement and all that stuff. And his response was that he didn't want to be constantly remembered as, oh, it's the gay guy. He just wanted to be accepted as normal. He didn't, you know, he didn't need to constantly be referred to or like praised or, you know, showing off the fact that he was gay. He just wanted the fact that he was gay to be accepted as normal, so that way he could be a normal person. He didn't want to be some, you know, outstanding, amazing person, which is kind of like what they're doing with the women in The Flash, it seems like, because it should just be a normal thing that women see something bad going down. If they have a weapon, they should go help out and, you know, stop bad things from happening. It shouldn't be some outstanding, amazing fucking occurrence that they're doing this.
No, that's a really good point, because gay pride sort of marches back, I want to say like 70s and 80s and stuff like that, were literally just normal people dressed in normal clothes with signs saying, you know, like, hey, I'm like you, essentially. That's literally what it was, and it sort of kept pushing boundaries until it's, you know, it is what it is today.
Yeah.
Tumblr was a mistake.
Basically.
The internet was a mistake.
I mean, unfortunately, this seems to be sort of a trend with these collectivist sort of group or sort of ideologies, is that they will keep pushing until it eventually becomes harmful to what they were originally, you know, trying to accomplish, essentially.
Well, the theory that I've talked about is that activists nowadays really don't have much to fight. I mean, you've pretty much got equality between men and women. Gays are, for the most part, accepted, and they're getting more rights and more. They're allowed to marry. They're allowed to have all this other stuff. And yeah, there are some issues in disparity, but for the most part, it's actually very good, and things have been fixing themselves over time. And the activists hate this. They want to fight something. They want their victory. They want
they want recognition
the heroes.
For something. Yeah,
and they don't have this thing to fight anymore because everything's getting better. So they drive the wedge in. They have to
justify their employment, yeah.
They not only have to justify their employment, they want their thing to fight, so they're trying to make it so the racial divide is widened. They want to bring back segregation. They want all this stuff. Not because they think it will help the black community or the colored community or whatever community is being quote-unquote helped by this. They want segregation to come back So 5-10 years down the line, they can talk about how racist America is, and so that they can fight back against racism by destroying segregation that they helped create.
It's literally a situation similar to the firefighters that start the fires that they put out.
I mean, my take on this is like everything else, that just keep the goddamn politics and ideology out of movies, games, and TV shows, and in general. And the only place I would kind of be fine with it is if it's in music, because music has a lot of like messages and things like that. But regarding TV shows and games and movies in general, I just want to this ideology and political crap to be nowhere near it, because it just ruin when you limit yourself because of some certain ideology. You just make why limit yourself to begin with? You're just gonna make the whatever you're creating more shitty just because you want to please someone.
Yeah, you're basically limiting your creative freedom into this box that you have to stay in because you want to put certain politics in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just completely backwards.
I mean, part of the other thing is also the way that these things are, like, a lot, like, a lot of movies and stuff like that still have political messages, but it's not, like, shoved in your face like a pillow, like, suffocating you, basically, like some of these are.
It's
I mean, for you to want to implement a political message properly, you have to do it, well executed. Like a good game that I can bring up, Deus Ex Mankind, or Human Revolution. I haven't played Mankind Divided, so I can't really quote on that one, but they do bring up, like, racial disparities and class disparities by bringing up how Augs are more desirable than non-Augs, and they present it in a way that's subtle but effective, and it causes people to question disparities in other situations, and they look at that. While other games will just go like, being gay is okay, and they'll just shove it in your throat at every 5 seconds, like Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah, I actually just bought the game and on the discount, so I basically bought it for like $10 just to see.
Still too much.
Yeah, but I just want to see how it actually is. But regarding all of that, yeah, you guys are totally right. I just want to move. Any last thoughts before we move on to the last topic?
Nope.
Okay, I think we covered it pretty much. Yeah, I posted the last link, so you can follow it. It's basically a a hit piece on the old. Here's the headline from the Star from Toronto. Racist and xenophobes find fertile ground in violent online world. Toxic behavior more apparent as gaming goes live via sites such as Twitch, and more online titles design play around larger, more diverse groups. Do you want me to read the whole article?
Well, it's the Toronto Star. It's Toronto. We're pretty much going to be able to tell what it's all about.
Yeah, so I can read a little bit if you want me to stop. Just jump in, because again, gaming seems to be scapegoated again. I think they want to start like Gamergate 2.0 right about now, when we have the NBC thing, and now all the other articles also popping up. So. Just jump in if you have something to say, because it's a little bit of a longer article than the last one. Spend enough time hunting terrorists or wandering dystopian wastelands in online games, and you're bound to come across players hurling xenophobic and racist taunts at each other. From openly Islamophobic in Europe. What the fuck? Did I read that right? From the openly Islamophobic in Europe to Korean and Japanese gamers bickering over disputed lands. What the fuck?
Wow, you couldn't even stop making it about race. Like, just, whew.
Well, why are you linking Islamophobia to Europe? Jesus Christ! I couldn't.
Well, because there are some European countries that are not caving into the whole migrants must come narrative, so they're being slammed as Islamophobic. Like Poland.
Oh my god.
Like, if you heard the news recently, someone set themselves on fire in Poland as protest.
Yeah, but
Wow.
And they had a letter on them saying that he is setting himself on fire in protest to challenge the racist xenophobia of the current Polish government and how they won't let more migrants in.
Did this guy survive?
I do not know. Probably not.
yeah, probably not. But I couldn't make it past the first goddamn paragraph, and this guy is a fucking idiot. Take survival shooter H1Z1 King of the Hill, currently the third most popular game on the world's biggest online games platform. Matches in Asia are sometimes interrupted by the Red Army, a band of Chinese players who won praise from local media for championing in-game nationalism.
Wait, what game is this?
H1Z1 is basically DayZ.
I know, but they called it one of the most popular games out there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's more, seems like on Asian servers, maybe. That might be why.
Yeah, because in the US, H1Z1 ran its course and it's pretty much just kind of faded into the backside.
One tactic involves cornering rivals and forcing them to pay tribute to the motherland by saying China number one. Those who
Oh my God.
lie are swiftly dispatched.
Well, they seem to have gotten Maoist China down to a pat.
Oh my god, this is just like Rust, basically. Their antics, along with those of peers from a panoply of countries and ethnicities, are gaining notoriety through countless online videos as the embodiment of a global online gaming phenomenon that's gathered momentum. The spread of xenophobia and racism. Jesus Christ. Once limited to consoles in the living room, yeah, just blame everything on consoles. Advances in internet speeds and multiplayer technology now lets thousands from around the world join in on the fray, employing microphone headsets to scream everything from encouragement to abuse at each other. In marquee titles from Activision's Blizzard, in Overwatch to Ubisoft Entertainment's Rainbow Six Siege, one encounters players freely exchanging graphic slurs in patterns reflecting real-world tensions. And here we have yet while Gamergate exposed the depth of misogyny in the community and Grand Theft Auto triggered calls for curbs on violence, xenophobia in games has yet to draw at the same level of attention. Facebook and YouTube police hate speech to comply with advertisers. YouTube sensations PewDiePie's premium show got cancelled over videos deemed to contain anti-Semitic content. He denies being racist, but in the world of online gaming, where competition is the main pursuit, name-calling and verbal abuse are intrinsically a part of gaming trash talk to many enthusiasts. In others, it provokes uneasiness. What do you say to something like that? Want me to continue? Anything so far?
I mean, I think we pretty much got the idea. It's just...
Yeah, it's pretty much Gamergate bad, video game bad, rah rah rah, obey.
Yeah, I'm not gonna finish this story because it's spew the same goddamn thing that every other article so far has done. It's basically just blaming gamers for everything bad. Like the China number one thing is actually really freaking funny because the same thing happens in Rust. So
I mean, it's kind of incredible, just, like, because, I mean, it's just like the NBA was it NBS or the
NBC.
talking about like, huh?
You mean the video where they talked about Gamergate and Discord?
I mean, it's like, like alt-righters drive cars too, and they like, I don't know, toilet paper. Just like anything associated with the alt-right is now forbidden. So you gotta give up your toilet paper, you gotta give up your cars.
Don't forget that the alt-right shaves too.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like promoting in the article, promoting that policing hate speech is a good thing. Like, what the fuck are we? What kind of time period are we living in when 1984 is a viable option?
I mean, now these days, I mean, especially a lot of these websites are essentially isolating users. Essentially, they've learned that people outright doesn't work, but they'll isolate you and essentially put you in the middle of nowhere where no one can hear you, and you think you're trying to talk to people. It's a very sinister sort of way they're doing it.
Also, well, whatever happened, you can always play another game or mute other players who are spewing bullshit online. Like, you can just lower the volume on your goddamn TV or just mute them.
No, that doesn't work because there were options where you could turn off chat in some games, but people are like, no, there are people that are racist. And it's like, yeah, turn off the chat. No, I don't want to. And it's like, well, fuck off then.
Yeah, it's so ironic.
They don't seem to understand.
Yeah, and I saw this regarding Overwatch, whereas I think it was a manager of the team who was supposed to go against the toxic nature of Overwatch. He got exposed for being a sexual harasser of women in Blizzard.
Goddamn.
I hadn't heard that one. I know that they were trying to combat toxicity in Overwatch, but
yeah, and
the
one
thing
of their
was,
own team members got exposed as a sexual harasser.
But they were claiming that there's too much toxicity; they can't handle it, and they're diverting all their resources to fighting this toxicity, but it's never enough. And
it's almost like you should just not fucking worry about it.
It's like, just implement a block button, have a team ready to look at reports.
I mean, the thing is, like, having police every single person's speech is just, it's an unmanageable task. There's, millions or thousands or millions of people. You can't possibly do a top-down system like this. You will have to go bottom-up.
Yeah, you'd need almost as many staff as there were players on almost all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, people will get toxic in creative ways because they want to be toxic.
Yep.
You're not going to stop them, no matter what, because they don't want to be stopped.
Yeah. We've reached the hour mark now. Is there anything more you wanted to mention? Or otherwise, we just end the recording now.
Well, I'd like to just jump in here and say Nabi.
Nabi. Prof or Brokenhearted or Ha, do you have any last thoughts regarding any of the topics?
Not really.
Not really. I mean, I brought up that earlier topic earlier today that I found interesting about how they're trying to bring the TPP back, but...
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Their new plan is the 11 countries that signed it that aren't the US are just going to go through it with it anyways.
And then I guess US is going to join at some point?
Well, they're probably thinking that by bringing it in and then being like, oh, we're doing great with it, that the US will be goaded in, but it's well known that Trump hates the TPP. He loathes it with a burning passion, so that's probably not going to happen, and without the U.S. participating, the TPP is basically a fangless animal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I hope nobody signs up for that, because what I read, it's basically cancer. We're gonna continue this. Anyhow, thank you guys for watching, and see you guys next time. Bye.